All right, here we are. Another episode of Instigating Women and Friends with my friend Liz.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Um, well, I'm a little bit better than I've been um, this past week when we've been texting, which, by the way, you have helped me so much throughout the uncertainty of the counting. But now that we're past the counting phase and into the litigation phase of the election, I'm I'm optimistic, um, but still vigilant about what shenanigans are going to be pulled and are being pulled behind the scenes right now. Oh gosh, Gary, come here. Gary's wanting to be part of the podcast today, apparently.
Okay.
Gary, come be with me.
When you say vigilant in what way?
Like just not not taking it for granted that there's not a hard fight ahead to actually take office. That's what I mean. Because there's so many things going on behind the scenes right now that are really questionable. Like, he's replaced he's fired like five top security officials in the last week. And why would you be doing that? And Pompeo was quoted as saying, when asked about a smooth transition, he said there will be a smooth transition to a second Trump presidency. And so, that's what I mean by being vigilant. Like, we can't take our eyes off of where we're trying to get to on January 21st. So, yeah. And, you and I just had a conversation with our peers about how do we heal? Like, how do we go forward with our family members that voted for Trump? And I think that's a real recognition that needs to happen for all of us, that 70 million people voted for him. And we have to acknowledge that somehow we have to bridge our divide.
Yeah, I think that coming into the middle with the things that we all agree on is critical to help our country heal. It's critical to help friends and families heal. I
Mhm.
never experienced anything like this where people I love just are staunchly opposite viewpointed on very specific things. And the ability to have a rational, calm conversation just seems to be gone right now, which is so
Mhm.
sad.
Mhm.
We have Thanksgiving upcoming. And plan to travel and be with friends and family. And yet I'm very well aware of who believes in what position. And I very much try not to be political.
Mhm.
I try to respect people's opinion. I tend to vote for people that I do believe will be good in office, regardless of political persuasion. Um, and yet, holy moly, the fear and the hate that is spewing out right now, even when trying to walk that middle ground as much as possible, it's hurtful. It's scary. It truly is. So how do we all change our mindset to focus on everyone as human beings, focus on what we agree on as a country, and recognize the enemy is not internal. Um, I'm really not sure what the enemy is. And yet, everyone seems to be focused on this internal enemy or the sides being drawn. And I guess I worry that it makes us weak across the world, across the globe when we're infighting.
I think
And
that's true.
I would love to just start to reconcile and heal. And I am trying to give that a lot of thought. How do we focus on love and compassion and listening.
Yeah. I I've been in my unusual life that often sounds to people like fiction. I co-parent very closely, with my ex-husband and his wife, and she's a psychologist, and she's from Brazil, so she can't practice uh, her usual practice here in the U.S. yet, but she does this a version of therapy, and she's been doing it on me
Oh,
and on Amelia, and Amelia has ADHD, as you know, and so we've been trying to avoid doing the stimulants, and so we've been both getting therapy with her, and she has talked to me about this framework that I've been trying to utilize with my family and friends and anyone that just whether the conflict is in my heart or whether it's actually out in the open between us, but it's this framework of I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you, I love you.
mm-hmm.
And it's an exercise that you can just do yourself in your journal. And that's what she suggested that I do. And oh my gosh, it's been helping me so much. Even if I feel like I have a situation right now where I don't feel like I'm the one that needs to apologize. And so how do I create empathy for the person on the other end of this conflict, even if I'm not going to be standing up and saying, I'm sorry, that framework helps you find that common ground,
Mm-hmm.
right? Thank you. Thank you for doing the hard things that you've been having to do. Um, I love you. I see you, right? I think that's the other piece of it that is like when we're arguing our own points
Mm-hmm.
with our own set of facts, right? Like we talked about that with our team, that everyone seems to have a different set of facts from one another that they are referencing. And when we're simply arguing our own facts or disputing somebody else's facts, we're not seeing each other.
Right.
And so, I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm embracing new ways of doing self-care in this therapy I've been doing with Tatiana. And I'm trying to force myself to see where other people are coming from and both what they're worried about, but also what they haven't experienced that I have either experienced myself, I have my own lived experience, or I have been touched by someone else who's had that experience that causes us to have the political beliefs that we have.
Right. Right. And if we're so staunch in our beliefs, then we are no better than that other person who is so staunch about the other belief. We're just the same. So if we can get through that and hold them in love, and respect, and as you said, listen, see them, I think that'll just go a really long way. We have to get back there. We're all good human beings, and deserve understanding, love, and compassion. And we deserve that ourselves as well. I think that mantra that you mentioned comes out of Hawaii. It's some Hawaiian tradition, and
Is it?
I've been reading about that as well. And we do need to apologize for reacting, and always taking a stand, and not being curious and really trying to listen to understand. It's not listening, shouldn't be about listening to have an immediate reaction. It should be about listening to understand. And then you can make a choice whether you want to believe or not, or ask more questions. But we're all in this mode of reacting, reacting, reacting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Tell
Um,
me more about that. Tell me more about that is like instead of reacting, right? Saying, tell me more about that. Help me understand your perspective. And then when we get to the point where we can't there's no more road to discuss, right? We just have reached that place where it's like, yeah, no, we disagree. I have started trying to say, I hear you,
Mhm.
and I just see it differently.
Mhm.
And that's okay, right? Like we can be looking at different horizons. And I heard Brene Brown talking about this in a podcast yesterday on leadership. And she was talking about how a big source of our conflict with one another is that we're standing on the same cliff edge and we're all motivated to go forward and to even go forward together to arrive at a different place. The problem that we don't recognize is that the horizon that we're each looking at is often very different.
Mm.
And she went really thoroughly through this example of one person's looking out at a boat on the ocean and the other person's looking down on at their shoes and the other person's looking at a tree to the left. But that in order to actually go forward together, we have to be curious about what one another's horizons look like, and avoid, now this is me talking, but avoid demonizing the other person's horizon, because it's we don't agree that it's as important as the horizon we're trying to get to. I brought this card from my office that I think I wrote this like 6 months ago when I was just starting coaching myself, where you have to really unpack your stories that you're telling yourself. And one of my stories that I know I've been locked in for a long time is that I'm either all good or I'm all bad.
Oh.
And I'm either right or I'm terribly wrong.
Oh.
And that leads to, beating myself up or beating up somebody else with that narrative. And so what I wrote, and this seems so relevant right now to me, it feels like there are often two choices: beat myself up or beat the other person. What if there is a third choice where we realize we're holding sticks, we put them down and back away, and nobody gets beat?
Mm. Yeah. And what if you use those arms and hug?
Virtual hug, unless it's
Virtual hug. Yeah.
in my pandemic pod.
Mhm. Yeah. 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 As I really continue to research, some of the things I read or listen to boil down emotions into just two roots: love or fear. And I think when I hear people talk, and if I really listen, it's a lot of fear on all sides. It's
Mm-hmm.
pure fear. Whether it's the election or the pandemic or the economic crisis or the teaching the kids at school, everything is based in fear right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in order to just minimize that fear as much as possible, you have to focus on the opposite, the love. So an exercise that I do with my clients tries to get to a little of that. If
Tell
you're
me about it.
if you're game, Liz, I'll do it with you. It's just really simple.
Yeah.
Another way to express love is to describe what you have faith in. Because if you're filled with faith, you can't be full of fear. And yet sometimes I don't use the term faith because that connotates religion, and it doesn't need to be religious in any way. So sometimes I ask, what do you believe in? What do you truly believe in? So off the top of your head, what do you believe in, Liz?
I believe in a lot of things.
Okay.
One thing right now is that I believe that you're actually there on the screen, even though I took my glasses off because of the glare, and so you're really fuzzy.
Here.
But the thing that's sprung to my mind is I believe in my kids. Like I believe in and they're really, I have a funny story for you in a few minutes, but they're really asking for me to believe in them too. Like they're saying, Mom, we got this. You can stop hovering.
Yeah.
And I believe in their intellects. I believe in their curiosity. And I think that they're not so jaded. They're not jaded at all. And so I believe in that. What else do I believe in? I believe in myself more than I ever have. Because, anyone that knows me well knows that I've done a lot of failing forward in my life and my career. I've made a lot of mistakes in jobs. I'm divorced. Um, and yet I feel like I'm reaching a place of being wizened. And
Vincent, a new word.
wizened. I feel, and I don't show up anymore feeling like I have to have all the answers or that I have to be somebody that I'm not. And so I believe in myself, all like warts and all.
Okay. Because you've got these lived experiences and you have either survived or thrived in them.
Yeah.
And you've got that now. Good.
And the third thing I believe in is my community. Um, I when we heard about the election, I was driving to my Saturday, call it the Army for Good, and it's a collection of men and women in our school district that have been getting together on Saturdays since March, and we pack boxes of food and then we put them in drivers' cars, and the drivers deliver them to people who don't have enough food. And most of these people were strangers to me, and when I met them in March, and now I consider them good friends. And they rain or shine, they show up, and we danced.
Yeah.
We danced and laughed and cried, and it was just really beautiful. And I don't know what any of these people really. I mean, some of them obviously it was obvious because they were laughing and crying like I was, but like the vast majority of the people coming to get the boxes of food, I don't know what their political persuasion is, but I know I see them every Saturday.
Yeah.
So I believe in my community.
Awesome. So the lesson is that these things you believe in, you love. And when things get harried, when you're on the roller coaster on the downslide or you're at that bottom of the hill, which we all will be, these are the things to focus on. So you can take a photo of this, you can put it as your screensaver, you can put it as your phone saver to reflect on. The other component to the lesson is that what you love in other things, your kids, your community, you also love about yourself. So those are the vibes that are coming back to you about these things that you love outside yourself. So the intellect, the camaraderie, the coming together, the resilience, the just showing up, God damn it, regardless of political persuasion. That's in you as well. What you admire and love about others is in you. And you might need to draw it out a little more than normal sometimes, but it's there. And that's surprising to some people. I will tell you, you're the first person I've done this exercise with that's put themselves on the list. And when I noticed that at the end of the exercise that they didn't put themselves down, it's shocking. And so there's just so much self-confidence to do right now for everyone and buoying up to do. There's a lot of people needing to understand themselves. Doing a few of the free quizzes online every now and then, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
personality assessment, there are mental resilience surveys that are free. There is it's just all kinds of really cool stuff online right now to survey yourself and understand yourself a little bit more. Because I think a lot of this downtime and being at home time causes people to recognize that they just don't even know what they want.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't know
Well,
what their passions are anymore, or they're what they love or don't.
right. I was talking with a teammate in Hudson the other day who has really little kids, and he was saying that he doesn't have time to reflect on anything, what his relationship, his dreams. He's either working or he's interacting with his kids, and so to your point, I think for a lot of the people that uh, I'm working with right now, or just trying to work with. I've had two people who've said they wanted coaching, and then something came up with their kids, and they had to direct their resources to that or their time. And it's just really difficult for everybody right now, both financially and just being locked down together.
Mhm.
Um, but I would say that the reason I put myself on there is a direct result of 8 months of work.
Right.
Work with my coach, work with my clients, and working with you. And so yeah, it's a work in progress for sure.
It definitely is a journey and it's growth, which takes work and it does take time. I will say it doesn't necessarily have to take economic resources to do something simple like this.
Mhm,
And some
mhm.
quick ideas are you can reflect on these things in the shower. You can draw these words in on your shower glass, while in the steam. Just remember them. You can put them on your mirror in your bathroom. Everyone uses the restroom and everyone showers at least once a week. So those are little tidbits of time that we all have to reflect on the good and the positive.
I like that idea of just having it be so informal, and you can do that with with the framework that Tatiana shared with me, and um, the what do I believe in. Um, can I tell you my funny story?
Yeah.
Speaking of this,
Yeah. Please.
2 days ago we finally went to the dentist for the first time since February.
Oh, boy.
Four of the five in my household. So four of us went. Three of the four of us had cavities. The one person that did not have a cavity is the person who is the crappiest toothbrusher in the household, with the exception of the animals. She, she was really proud of herself too that she didn't have a cavity. But so yeah, and I just had another one of those low points. Like the last low point I told you about was when I ugly cried to our second grade teacher over technology failing. Which, by the way, when I put myself on mute, that's Comcast. Finally, a month later,
Yay!
putting Wi-Fi in. But so we're driving home, and the older two were fighting and being so annoying, and Amelia was kind of boasting that she didn't have a cavity, and I'm driving along going like, you know, S mother effer all like in my head, and I finally I just started crying, and I was like, you guys stop fighting. We can't even brush our teeth.
Oh my God.
Cry, ugly cry, ugly cry. And then whenever I do that, the kids are like, whoa,
Yeah, I bet we've crossed the line.
mom's lost it.
Maybe we'll be a little quiet now.
And but it did lead to a good conversation because I took their phones because they were they were just complaining about getting a filling, complaining about fluoride, which really set me up. I was like, that's when I really start lecturing about like, you're privileged to get fluoride. Do you know how many people would kill for fluoride? Like it's dumb. But anyway, I said, okay,
God.
your phones. We're all gonna have a timeout, and then we're gonna meet and talk. And I want you to come to this conversation. If there are things that I'm doing that you think are me being a lame mom, then you come and bring it. Tell me about it. I will take it into consideration. But after that, I want your commitment that when I wake you up in the morning or when I come and bring you lunch while you're on your Zoom call, that you're not going to look at me like I'm the most annoying, stupid imposition on your life that ever existed. Because I don't think I'm a lame mom. I'm not perfect, but I don't think I'm lame. And when you're like, what? Mm-hmm. Okay. It makes me feel like a piece of shit. I didn't say that word.
Okay.
Not that I never cuss in front of them, but I was like, I do have feelings, believe it or not. So anyway, they came to the conversation committing to talking to me like I'm a person that they don't despise. And they asked me to stop hovering so much with their school stuff.
There you go.
Yeah, they were like, Mom, you don't need to forward us every single email that you get from the school district. We are getting the emails as well. You don't need to ask us every day if we've submitted our assignments. We're submitting our assignments.
Okay.
We have good grades. We'll let you know if we need you. And I said, okay, fair enough. We shook on it.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
I got a
So
little talking to too from Isley this week.
tell me.
I was driving, talking to her. She hates virtual school, hates, and was going through a rant and explaining again why it was stupid and dumb and she's not learning and it should be different. And we've had this conversation several times. And so I just said, Isley, tell me something good about your day. And she did and said the sunset was beautiful, but she didn't get to really see it because she was doing homework because she waited. And so tell me another something good. And she tried. And I said, Isley, you're such a positive person. Why is it that when we talk, it's all the negative stuff and everything's stupid and dumb? That's just not like you. You're a really fun girl to be around. She's like, Mom, you tell me that you want me to talk to you. You tell me you want me to be honest with you. And you're the only person, you and Dad, that I can actually just lay it out with. Everybody else, I have to be positive. I have to be positive with my teachers. I have to be positive with my friends. I have to lift everybody else up. So this is my time just to be totally honest. So do you want me to talk to you or not?
Oh my gosh.
Like, duly noted. Gotcha.
So true though, because when they're so negative, I have a negative one. I imagine that she's being this negative everywhere instead of just with me, so I feel like I have to correct it.
Uh-huh. And that's
Oh my,
not always the
Isley dropping some knowledge.
yeah. So it could be that they're just finally comfortable with us and they're actually communicating with us and they need a relief valve.
Yeah. I'm checked. Tell her she didn't just check you, she checked both of us.
Check.
Check, check. All right.
Good
Wow.
one.
Good session, my friend.
Yeah, totally. Likewise. Thank you. Always great.
I heart you.
I heart you. Have a good one.
Too.
Bye.